even with so many mental illnesses, I learned that I need to push myself. So yeah, if you don't know, I grew up with like intense anxiety, depressed as hell. I'm on meds, and I found out I had ADHD in college, and I feel like that made a lot of sense because I was doing really, really bad in college. But anyway, yeah, for the longest time, I wasn't actively doing anything about it besides like obviously like therapy, things like that. But it felt like the world was crumbling and that I couldn't do anything. Like I'm useless, blah 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 blah. But the biggest takeaway is that that difficulty, like you need to overcome it as like in its own way. I'm not saying like, oh, like push yourself, like obviously that's going to be hard, but it really is like taking incremental steps to do things that are uncomfortable. Because like I'm probably like 10-15% the way there, but I was uncomfortable with the way that my life was. But I realized that there were ways to get out of that that required me to be uncomfortable, but it's more purposefully uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you're so used to, being anxious and stuff like that. But that's because it's out of your control, right? Like that's just how you feel. But there are some things you can that I guess like are comparable or maybe even not as bad that you can do to alleviate some of that. For example, right? I was like hella depressed in high school because I had no friends. And I was always like, well, I'm too anxious to come up to friends. So what the hell am I gonna do? And it took me a long time to realize that I have to do something about it because I just had no friends for like a good half year. But then, I was like, I can just try, right? So I just looked for people that were more awkward than me or like really, really quiet. And I just went up to them and I was like, do you guys know anyone? They're like, no. There you go. I made some friends. And I realized that like that was an uncomfortable thing to do. Like I was like stressing the hell out before getting in there, but like literally like that was it. I was like, whoa, 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 wait, I have like power in this. Obviously it didn't alleviate like my anxiety and depression and all like overall, but there are some things or aspects of life that was upsetting me that I was able to do something about. And then I realized that like the unfortunate thing about, being sad, being depressed, things like that is that it digs you into a deeper hole. When you have the chance to get better, like it's really difficult to do that. And especially in a world where like, I believe mental health is still really, really stigmatized. Like it's really hard to bounce back up, to feel, and to also feel like the way that you want to feel, Because yeah, I don't know. Like when I'm depressed, I don't want to do anything. People see that as lazy. I don't know, and I don't want to make an excuse. That comes from me. Like it's just, oh, there's too many things going on in my head. And then yeah, it's just managing things. Like it's always going to be something to manage, but when you see those like little bits and pieces where you realize like, oh, you can do something about it, and then do something about it. uh it does make it hard when you have like multiple things, like if doing something about it like requires you to do something that would, maybe have social anxiety, requires you to talk to people, and then that's kind of difficult. I get that. And I still struggle with that too. I struggle with people, basically telling people like my actual thoughts and things like that. I always feel like I'm going to be wrong. I always feel like people are going to hate me, things like that. But I don't know. Like it really does just take time, and it really just takes like, you know, you just gotta like you just gotta like you know what I mean? Like even if I cry afterwards, I let myself cry. Even if I put myself in an anxious situation and I'm anxious as hell afterwards, like I gotta put myself in there because without real world experiences and without like forcing myself to do some things, then like I was just doing nothing. And obviously, if you feel like you're not ready, then you're not ready. And that's okay. But I think working towards becoming ready, which would mean like, actively seeking support, being more transparent about it. That's what really helped. I was more transparent about it. And that's when I realized like, wait, I can do something about it. Even at work. So like I have ADHD. I didn't find out until I was older because uh apparently like they told me I had like gifted kid syndrome or smart kid syndrome where like I was annoying as a kid, but I was good at school. So no one really batted an eye, but it does really affect like my work and like when I have to do things that I wasn't good at, which when I became an adult, I was not good at anything. And so got diagnosed in college, but yeah, like with that too, like I realized you could do something about it. Like I'm pretty transparent with the fact that I have ADHD, and I don't make it like a thing where it's like, oh, I have ADHD, I can't do that. Rather, like, oh, I'm just letting you know that I have ADHD. Like, if I'm like doing a little too much, like just let me know. Because once it's out there, it's like, wait, like people have an understanding of like the way my mind works, like that alleviates the anxiety of having to explain that, alleviates the anxiety of trying to navigate that. And then if they think it's weird, go F you. Um, and yeah, I realize like it's like the more that I do these things, I realize like no one gives a crap. And if they do, then it's not worth my time. I think it's really hard to navigate that because I'm saying that out loud, but there are times where I'm like, I need to prove myself. I need to prove myself, but I don't need to be proving myself because all that matters is like what I want to do, what I want to accomplish, and putting myself in places that make me feel happy. Um, and yeah, like I know I have my quirks. All my friends mention my quirks, and that's why they're my friends. It's about navigating, finding the exact environment that really resonates with you and being comfortable with like the fact that you do have not necessarily issues, but you do have things that, you know, some struggles in your life, and that is okay. It's as long as you manage it, it's as long as you respect it, that it's there, and that, it's something that you have to deal with, but it's something that can be dealt with, you know? Like my employers know I have ADHD. I think it's funny that they know I have ADHD because I just go everywhere. I can do everything. And I like that. I like that. I like how they know. I like how it's like it feels safe. And like it was not like a bad thing. They're like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. You should be with people who think, oh, that's cool. That's chill. And people who make you happy. And I'm saying this like I'm in a really like up state right now. Maybe I'll make a video when like I'm like, but right now like I'm working from home right now, so I just had this thought while I was doing this stuff, and it's just like it took a lot for me to get to this point, and this point is like not even like close to being the highest point I could be, but I think it's just like knowing like how like myself felt like literally half a year ago, and then just like seeing like the gradual like changes and things like that. Like it's just it takes a really long time. I'm impatient too. Sometimes I cry about it, and that's okay. But I don't know what the point of this video was, but I think it was, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The point of this video is that one, it'll take long, but two, you gotta do something at some point. Like even if something sounds annoying, like in your head, just be like, just do it right now. Like literally, like it's like literally just like pretend like someone is lifting you up and like do it right now. When I made my first therapy appointment, I was so lazy to find a therapist. I had to go through like 5 therapists before I found the right one. But once I found it, life has been so great because it's someone that I like. Okay, she's amazing. I love my therapist, but it took me 5 therapists to get there. Psychiatrist. I knew that something was wrong with my head when it came to like ADHD, things like that. I was like, what is going on? And that took 2 years. That took 2 years. But look at me now, medicated and chilling. Not necessarily chilling, but I'm definitely at a better point. So it's basically like, yeah, things will take long, but it's like if you don't start, then it'll take even longer. So might as well make the length like go a little shorter. But yeah, I hope if anyone relates to this, that this is a good conversation. I feel like I didn't really have, or I don't really have a lot of people to navigate like everything that goes on in my head because so much goes on in my head. So I realized like who better to talk to than myself, which is on the screen. But if you do come across this video and you see that, it resonates a little bit with you, I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to know your thoughts about this because I'm also navigating it myself. But yeah, I should go back to work. This was a break from work, which is a great work. We're a great break because I love, love, love talking. But it was nice to talk, and I hope you have a great day.